For many years, people have been talking about Death and Chuck and his iconic guitar tone. In this example, we're going to look at a song called Spirit Crusher from the album of The Sound of Perseverance, and the tone sounds a little bit like this. By the way, I have a very cool surprise in this video. Keep watching. I think you guys are going to like it. Now, that guitar tone was done with two very affordable plugins from Audiority, the Solidus 8100 and the Green Reaper. Speaking of Audiority, I want to mention that Luca from Audiority is sponsoring this video today, and it just so happens when I'm making this video, Audiority's summer sale is in full swing. But I just looked at the website. If I'm doing my calculations correct, the 8100 is like $35 right now, and the Green Reaper is $8, $10, super affordable. So you can recreate this entire sound for less than 50 bucks. And obviously, of course, you're going to have two awesome plugins to play with in the future. A lot of people focus on what Chuck used, right? They talk about the BC Rich guitar with the DiMarzio pickups. They talk about the Valestate, obviously. And I even saw people online saying that part of the secret to his sound was the HM2. I don't know where the hell they got that from. Chuck's tone is not even remotely close to an HM2. So just forget about the HM2. It's not a thing. So if you're keeping track at home, we've talked about the guitar, we've talked about the pedals, we talked about the amp. The one thing that I see nobody asking, say it with me, right, nobody is asking about the speaker. A major detail of Chuck's tone is Chuck used the Valestate 4x12, which had Celestion's G12L35 speakers in them. And that is the magic piece of information, because without that speaker, you're just not going to get the initial EQ profile of the guitar tone. The main thing to focus on here is it was a G12. Which means that as long as we're using a G12 lineage style speaker, we are going to get much closer to the initial EQ curve and sound of Chuck's tone way faster and way easier than if we're trying to massage a V30 or a K100 or just another type of speaker that outputs a completely different EQ profile. So let me show you exactly how I did this. You can see on the screen here, I have Crushed Spirits, this preset. I'm going to show you the exact settings so you can make this preset at home, and you don't need anything except the Audiority Green Reaper and the Solidus here. You don't need anything else, okay? So the very first thing that we have to do is we have to listen to the music. Now, when you're listening to the music, don't just sit there and be like, oh yeah, okay, sounds cool. I talk explicitly and in detail in my Mixing Metal workshop in the PDF, How to Use a Reference Mix, which talks exactly how to listen to something to analyze it. In this particular case, we want to analyze the guitar tone. We want to kind of chop it up into pieces and try and really understand what makes that guitar tone tick. What are the characteristics? Is it harsh? Is it bright? Does it bite? Is it scooped? Is it MIDI? Does it have a lot of blow in? Is it loose? Is it dry? Is it saturated? You know, we want to really pick apart these elements of a guitar tone so we can understand how to try to recreate it. This is exactly what I do when I create my presets, guys, and that's why it takes me days to make them. All right, because I sit there and I analyze what I'm listening to. So I'm going to play the track here really quick, and I'll give you just like the TDLR of how I analyze this.
Comes from the depths of a place unknown to the keeper.
Okay, we've probably all heard that 100 or 1,000 times by now, but when you're listening to that, you want to listen to the guitar tone and you want to ask yourself, what characteristics does this guitar tone have, and how can I recreate it? This is where it's going to go a long way if you have spent hours and hours of time listening to different speakers and analyzing how they sound. When you listen to this, we have a high, bright, harsh top end. And it just so happens that G12 speakers are generally pretty bright sounding. And so that would be the first place that I would look. So the very first thing that we do is we go to the cab here, and just what you would expect, I'm looking at all the IRs that come with this amp simulator. I really didn't want to use any third-party IRs or anything like that, even after I had done the research to pinpoint the exact speaker that Chuck was using. The first thing that I did is I scrolled down to just find some Marshall cabs. Maybe there was a Marshall cab that may have had a T75 or some kind of other G12 variant loaded in it. But you can see here, the Marshall cabs all have V30s. Now, it just so happens that we have a Laney cab here with G12 H75s. And in terms of like the EQ profile and how it sounds, it definitely has that high-end bite. So this is what I chose to get started here. And I just want to preface, it's not the same speaker. So we're not going to get a 100% exact same sound. To do that, you would need to have the exact speaker, which again, I keep referencing to that surprise. Keep watching because it's coming, all right? After that, once I pick the speaker, I want to listen to how the speaker is interacting with the mix. So what would that look like? Basically, all like the gain and the bass I'll keep because that's pretty much the way it is, but I'll put all these at noon here. And what we want to listen to is we really want to listen to the profile of the speaker. Yeah, it definitely has those harsh highs, and it's definitely very bright and biting. But how bright and biting is it? So we need to go back and forth and listen. So there's definitely even a higher or brighter piercing sound in Chuck's tone that we're not getting with this speaker. And that's just the way it is. Because it's a different speaker, we're not going to get that exact particular sound. So listening again to this. Okay. You need to go back and forth and listen to your guitar tone. So at this point in time, you can hear we have more mids than Chuck's using. It's not quite as piercing, and it's not quite as scooped, but it's not scooped in the Valvestate way. So the very first thing that I did here is I messed with the contour knob. So you go to the right, you scoop it more. You go to the left, it's more boxy. It's obviously way too much. So here sounds pretty good. Let's listen to Chuck's tone again. So again, you can hear I have way more mid-range information, so we can pull the mids down. But you're noticing here, we're just not getting that giant, bright sound that we want to have. So we need to increase the treble a little bit. We want to be careful with the treble, at least with this speaker, because more treble makes the speaker a bit more crunchy sounding, and it's not really a crunchy guitar tone that Chuck has here. So I was listening to the tone with the song playing in my tone at the same time, and you can hear they're quite close. Now, it might be hard for you to do this at first, so here's a really easy way that you can start training your ear, listening to what the differences are in a guitar tone. So what I'm going to do here is I've selected the track. I'm going to bring down the volume all the way of the depth track here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the fader up, and what you're going to hear in the guitar tones, you're going to hear the differences first. Now, when I bring this up, I want you to pay attention really seriously to the upper treble range. You're literally going to hear Chuck's guitar tone. The ball of fuzz and white noise is going to sit on top of everything. You're going to hear that first. So basically, what our guitar tone that we're making here in this preset is missing would be that super high fizz, like almost white noise type of sound. Let me show you what I mean. You can already hear it right there. It's just psh, it's quite literally white noise. So at that volume, you can hear that the preset that I've made here, or that I'm creating, does not have that super high-end, spiky, trebly sound. But let's go ahead and go further and develop the guitar tone. I'm just going to load my preset again. What's missing again is that high fizz. So if we go to the out EQ, we can kind of replicate that. With the out EQ here, I can push 6600. That's not really the best place to be pushing guitar tones, but you know, we want to try and get as authentic as we can here. So if we A/B this, we're adding more of that piercing sound to the upper treble range, so to make it more authentic. And that is literally all I've done here. The other thing in terms of like plugins here, let me show you, was the Green Reaper. Now, the cool thing with the Green Reaper is that, as far as I'm aware, Chuck, towards the end of his career, was pretty much just plugging into the Valestate. I don't think he was boosting it anymore. But what we can do with the Green Reaper here is we can use the mix knob functionality. So we have this 50% mixed into the Valestate. You know, it's just adding a small little tiny bit of gain to the tone. Because remember, Chuck's tone is not overly saturated. It's pretty flat, pretty dry. There's not a lot of chug, and not a lot of sustain when he's doing the palm mutes, okay? By the way, the Green Reaper is just one of the best screamer plugins out there on the market, not just because of the mix knob, but also because you have a lot of different types of screamers. You know, the 316 mod, Brown's version of his screamer, the 2 version, the Wampler version. So you buy one plugin, but you essentially get like 10 variants of it. So again, when it comes to the TS9 style or Ibanez style screamers, Green Reaper is pretty much what I always reach for. So that's all that's happening, not in the Valestate, okay? Now, when it comes to mixing this, I think that you still could do some EQ if you wanted, just to bring it up to more modern standards and sounds. And this is all the EQ that I did. And I'm pretty much pulling out the harshness that I would want to pull out anyway when I would be mixing guitars these days. You know, just to not pierce my ears and make my ears bleed. So it would sound a bit like this. So there's a whistle in there. It's a bit crunchy, a little bit harsh, but with this EQ, we kind of smooth it out a little bit. And you can see right here, we have almost no information at this 5.5, 6K range. So part of Chuck's tone literally is right here. And in this speaker, we just don't have that. And you can't create what doesn't exist. So yes, it's not a perfect replica of Chuck's tone on the album. I'm not saying that. However, we are getting the vibe and the basic gist of the sound. And for 99.9% of people out there, if you play this kind of a guitar tone for people who are fans of Death, you're pretty much going to be right on the nose for them, and people are going to love it. In fact, I have seen videos of people using nothing even remotely close to this chain with tons and tons of comments with people saying, oh my god, it's exactly the same. Let me go through the settings real quick for the preset so that you can do this by yourself. With the Green Reaper, drive is 0, levels 50%, tone 50%, and the mix is 50%. That's all that's happening there. Gain, so we have the OD2 engaged. Gain is 10. Bass is 10, mid 2, treble 3.9, contour 6, volume is 8 on the boost channel, and then volume is 7 over here on the master. We go to the out EQ, we have the only boost doing here is on 6600 at 6 dB, trying to boost what isn't there just to add some more, you know, spice to the guitar tone. It's not in the speaker, so it's going to do a little, but not a lot. But the most important thing here is in this plugin, you want to choose the Lane TI G12H75 SM57 number 1. This one is very close to the overall tone and vibe of the guitar tone that Chuck was using on that album, and it'll be much easier to massage a guitar tone from this speaker than trying to use something else. From there, if you want to EQ, you can. It's completely up to you. It's your own artistic choice. Now, I mentioned a surprise. So when I was working on this video, I had the silly idea. I'm like, well, hold on. Let's just for fun, let's see if somebody actually took the time to do an IR for the G12L35. I highly doubt it, but just for fun, let's see what happens. All right. So I do a search, and not only am I surprised, I'm pleasantly shocked that not only is it the speaker, but it is actually the Valestate 4x12 cab. And even more shocking was it was done by my friend Adam Steele. You may have known him when he was doing YouTube content as Hop Pole Studios. So Adam Steele made a 2-notes Dyne IR pack with a Valestate 4x12 with the G12L35s in them. Imagine my shock. So just to prove to you how important the speaker is, when you're doing things like this, I am going to turn off the EQ. I'm going to turn off the cab section here in the plugin. And I'm just going to open the torpedo wall of sound. I think this is Genome now. I just haven't installed it because wall of sound works for me. All right. The product is called Cheap State. I messaged Adam, and Adam said, yep, those are the speakers in the cabinet, and that is the cabinet. So this is the cabinet that you're looking for if you actually want to recreate Chuck's tone to a 97 percentile, all right? I haven't done anything to this. I just loaded the first Dyne 57. I haven't, it's at the center, haven't moved it, haven't touched it. Let's listen to this. And there's that piercing 5.5 kilohertz that was missing from the other IR. Now, if we A/B this with the song, obviously, there was EQ and stuff with the song, and my tone stack settings are not correct for this IR, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be much closer. Turn this down a little. So there you go, guys. That is why when you're trying to recreate a tone, you have to know what speaker it is. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry, it doesn't matter what pickup it is. It doesn't matter what guitar you're using. For the most part, in most instances, it almost doesn't even matter what amp you're using. You have to get the speaker selection. So if you really want to recreate Chuck's tone, the answer is you're going to have to get this IR pack from 2-notes. So if you have a 2-notes Captor X, or you have Wall of Sound or Genome, don't quote me, I'm fairly certain these all work in Genome as well. You want to go to the 2-notes website and you want to find the Cheap State IR pack, because that is the Valestate with the G12L35s in them, and those are the speakers that Chuck was using on the Sound of Perseverance. So if you really want to do a 1-to-1 cover of Spirit Crusher with the guitar tone, all you're going to need to do is tune to standard D, double track, and use this IR pack. Conversely, if you don't want to do that and you don't want to buy it, I made this preset here and I showed you exactly how to do it with a built-in IR, so you don't need anything else. Again, it sounds like this. And in my opinion, that sounds pretty damn good. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Once again, big thank you to Luca from Audiority for sponsoring this video. And I just want to remind you before I end the video, Audiority summer sale is happening. So if you don't have the Valvestate or the Green Reaper yet, like I said, the Green Reaper is like 10 bucks. The Valvestate's like $35 right now. Super affordable. And you can recreate this tone quite easily now with pretty much the exact same shit that Chuck had in the late 90s. All the links to that stuff is down below in the description. That does it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.